Welcome to Eggs and Issues, a monthly business program presented by the Portland Community Chamber of Commerce. Listen weekday mornings to Ken and Matt on the WGAN Morning News. Eggs and Issues is supported by presenting sponsors Bank of America, Martins Point Healthcare, and Unum, in cooperation with Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare, First Light Fiber, and WEX. And now, please welcome Portland Community Chamber of Commerce President Jack Lufkin.
Hello and welcome everybody. I hope everyone has had a wonderful summer to date. It is not over, so enjoy the last few weeks. So, yes. And it's September, so the Red Sox are starting to slide. We're a little worried about that, but it's okay. We are kicking off our 32nd year of Eggs and Issues, and we are so pleased today to have with us Steve Smith, L.L.Bean President and CEO. Recently, L.L.Bean unveiled their Be an Outsider campaign, and Steve is going to discuss the challenges and opportunities that arise when an iconic brand like Bean's tries to undertake a new marketing strategy. But we have not been together for some time, so we have a few things to go over, and I'm going to go as quickly as I possibly can. So when we spoke last time, we had Quincy Hensel serving in the capacity of as our interim CEO. Through an exhaustive nationwide search, Jim Irwin led from the regional chamber perspective. Jim Elkins was the cat herder, if you will, for all of us who participated in that process. Great job with that. And it is probably no surprise to anybody in the room that the choice overwhelmingly for the next leader of the Portland Regional Chamber was, in fact, Ms. Quincy Hensel, and we're very pleased. So Quincy stepped in and said, what can we do here differently? And the first thing that came to mind was beer. Although if you know Quincy, it's probably more like Pinot Grigio, but that's a... Nevertheless, as you may have heard, the Chamber's newest event, which is a play on this long-standing tradition of Eggs and Issues, is called Kegs and Issues. And the first one will be on September 26th at the Portland House of Music. Think Eggs and Issues format, but in the late afternoon with a shorter presentation and more networking. And of course, craft beer. You can register by going to the portlandregion.com website, and I recommend you do because it will sell out. And I believe Lucas St. Clair is our first speaker, so very, very topical and very timely. So the other event that the Chamber has been working on, again with Quincy's leadership, is our women's networking event, aptly called Women of the Chamber. The next event will be held at Cellar Door Winery, now I get it, on September 18th. And that event is almost sold out. So again, if you have interest in that, please sign up as soon as possible. We're co-hosting a fraud detection and cybersecurity event with JP Morgan Chase on the 20th at Ryan's Auditorium. I would also like to mention the Chamber's annual event scheduled for January 24th at Brick South at Thompson's Point. This will be the second year we've asked attendees to imagine Portland, and this year is going to be bigger and hopefully better. Registration opens next week. All of those things you will find the ability to register on the Chamber's website, so please do that. We heard loud and clear from many members that we needed to take a more active role in advocacy, both here in Portland, but also regionally as well. So what we have done is we've created an advocacy newsletter. That's where you can read about and engage in all that is taking place within Portland City Hall and across the region. We invite you to register now by emailing issues@portlandregion.com and simply say that you wanted to subscribe to our newsletter. Or again, you can navigate through the website, and I'm sure you can do that as well. In this week's email, we're asking our members to weigh in on the mandatory paid sick day proposal recently introduced in Portland. So if you sign up today, you can fill out the 6-question survey to help the Chamber develop a position on this proposal. Now I would like to mention an initiative from our friends and partners at the Portland Society for Architecture, the Challenge of Change 3.0, Mapping Portland, the Complete City. This is brought to you in partnership with UNE, Creative Portland, and the Portland Regional Chamber and USM. So everybody at their table got one of these sort of cards. And what this is, it's a mapping project that provides citizens with the opportunity to express what they love or don't love about Portland by marking up an actual map of our city. You can grab a map on your table, you can upload online, or you can access via your phone. And on one side, you'll see all of those directions. They want your honest feedback, and they want to hear what you love and what you don't, and what you would like to see different as we continue to grow and shape our city. Then plan to join at the Space Gallery on September 27th to see all of the maps on display and join for a discussion on the complete city. So please do, if you could take some time over the next week or so to provide your input, that would be great. This is a great way to engage in the ongoing discussion around growth and change in the region, and we hope you'll all participate. Now, we would not be able to bring you this wonderful event if it weren't for the generous support of our sponsors. So we want to take a minute to thank them. Our presenting sponsors are Bank of America, Martins Point Healthcare, Unum, our cooperating sponsor, Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare, WEX, and Oxford Networks. Our reception sponsors are Clark Insurance, KeyBank, and IDEX, and our parking sponsor is CV & Mahar Engineers. And we thank Headlight Audio Visual and all the folks that are here today helping us out, who provides us with all the production support that they do. Our print sponsor is The Forecaster. Our e-media partner is Maine Biz. And WGAN is our radio sponsor, who interviews our speakers and broadcasts live right here every month. WMTW-TV serves as our broadcast partner. And we'd also like to thank our special community partners, which are Anthem Blue Cross and Blue Shield, Spectrum Healthcare, Oxford Networks, and the BDN, Bangor Daily News, the University of Southern Maine, and Southern Maine Community College. A very important aspect of this program is AAA Northern New England and Springborn staffing support of our Tomorrow's Leaders and Entrepreneurs program, which allow area high school and college students to attend Eggs and Issues. I'm not sure if we have anyone in attendance today, but if we do, thank you for your attendance. Baker Newman & Noyes sponsors our Community Corner program, which allows area nonprofits to promote their organizations at Eggs and Issues. This month, we are pleased to have Wayfinder Schools as our Community Corner. Wayfinder Schools is an alternative high school serving teens and teen parents throughout Maine who are at risk of high school non-completion. They offer 2 core programs, a 9-month intensive residential program in New Gloucester for teens to earn a high school diploma who have struggled in traditional school settings, and a home-based passages program for teen parents among 8 coastal counties from Machias to York County. To learn more, you can visit Wayfinder Schools online at wayfinderschools.org. And with us today from the Wayfinder Schools, we have the Executive Director, Paul Andrews, Board members Melissa Duffy, and Director of Philanthropy, Annie Messenger. We want to thank you for joining us today. If you could stand and just be recognized. Another very important aspect of this program is recognizing the new chamber members that are in the audience today. And we do want to recognize our returning and new members. So if you see yourself on this slide, please stand up so that we may welcome you, new and renewing chamber members. Nobody? Well, thank you anyway. So after all of that, let's get on to the program, the reason that you came here today. Now, as a reminder, we will have a question and answer period at the conclusion of the keynote address. You can tweet your questions using our hashtag Eggs and Issues. Or if you'd like to ask a question, please use the microphones. We have three set up here. Please use the microphones provided. Please tell us your name, your organization before your question. So, on January 4th, 2016, Stephen Smith became the 4th president and CEO of L.L.Bean. Today, he'll be taking us on a deep dive into the art and science of brand management at Maine's premier outdoor company. Steve joined the 105-year-old company early last year with a focus on positioning the company for future growth. Part of this focus includes aligning its product development and marketing strategies to engage new and existing customers alike who share L.L.Bean's enthusiasm for the outdoors. This outdoors passion is at the center of a new and inspirational brand and marketing strategy that marries the company's long-standing outdoor heritage with the many ways people experience the joy of the outdoors anywhere they live, work, or play today. So, without any further ado, I welcome Steve Smith to the stage.
Morning. So I am going to give you a sneak peek, basically, and two pieces. We have a brand evolution that is launching this month, the month of September. So all of this will be public later on in the month, and wanted to share it with you early as the part of the greater Portland business community. Also, taking the chance to take you through the process that we went through for this brand evolution work. And also just sort of recognizing our responsibility as obviously one of the larger employers in the state of Maine, and quite a large brand. Just wanted to share the process that we went through. We're both proud of it and humbled to share what we did. So I'm going to take you through a little bit of the sausage making to how we got to what you're going to see on air. And then I'm going to share some of the creative output that's coming later on in the month. So a bit of a sneak preview for you. I also want to tie this to last year's opening Eggs and Issues. So this time, probably this date last year, Sean Gorman, our executive chair, LL's great-grandson, was here for Eggs and Issues as well. And he shared the family governance philosophy that is behind L.L.Bean and continues to be the driving force behind the company. This is related to that. So one of the things that Sean talked about was the family visioning exercise that they worked on several years ago. And that was ultimately confirming that they want to remain privately held, family run, that they want to remain based in Maine, and that they want to remain an outdoor-oriented, outdoor-focused brand. And so that, as the overarching umbrella, drove us as a new management team coming into Bean over the past year and a half to look at revitalizing, re-energizing the brand that we had, obviously with the support of the family. And so this actually ties quite nicely into that governance structure that Sean talked about almost a year ago. So quick agenda, I'll just do one quick slide on just my path to Bean, but then I'm gonna go through evolving the L.L.Bean brand, ending with a whole bunch of different creative that's coming out later. And I'm gonna try to do all of that in 30 minutes, so then we've got time for Q&A. I do speak quickly, and I will speak quickly to sort of move through all of the material that we have, and then obviously we'll have time for questions. Let me go back. So my quick path, I grew up outside New York City and then Amherst, Massachusetts, and then school in Pennsylvania. I started my career in New York, and then I got hooked up with Resort Sports Network, and actually Carl Abbey and Rory Strunk brought me to the state of Maine from New York. Sort of forever indebted to them of introducing me to Maine. RSN is now Outside TV based in Portland. Was there for 6 years. Then I made a jump into retail. I joined Hannaford and was with Hannaford and Hannaford's parent company for 9 years, which took us from Maine to Florida to Belgium. I then joined Walmart International while we were overseas, which kept our international adventure running, which took us China, England, China. And then the best job in the world came available. I applied for it. I never thought I would get it. And they kept on calling me back through the interviewing process, and I landed here back in Maine. The picture that you see on your right is my boots and my wife, and I have 2 daughters, 2 teenage daughters, and that's us in Guilin, China, on our trip from China back to Maine in December of 2015. So, and also, just since it is the Chamber of Commerce, I have phenomenal Maine business mentors from Ron Hodge, Shelley Broader, Mike Vale, Steve Campbell, John Coleman, Leanne Leahy, a whole bunch of folks that I have known for a long, long time and have helped guide me through my career. So very much personally indebted to Portland and to Maine. So that's my quick story. I hope that pretty much everybody here is familiar with L.L.Bean and knows our history, but it is just worth, we are 105 years old, and it is amazing to work for this company. When we're in meetings, we think about, and the work that we're doing right now is setting the foundation for the next 100 years. So we really do think in very long terms about evolving and changing the brand very carefully. You'll hear me say this a number of different times. Our future is rooted in our past. We're very clear about where we've come from. Obviously, we had LL as the founder. There's a fantastic intellectual exercise you can go through, and LL created the boot, and you wouldn't have the company without the boot. But actually, Leon Gorman, as our 40-year president and chairman, made the brand what it is today and took it from 3 or 4 million in sales up to 1.3 billion in sales. So we have a huge amount of influence, both from LL as well as from Leon. You can see our sales, 5,000 year-round employees. We go up to about 8,700 during peak. Quick little commercial interlude, we are hiring and we desperately need people. So I think last I heard we're 750 people short for our peak, so that's for call centers and our fulfillment center and our manufacturing. And we did announce our Lewiston that we are continuing to expand our manufacturing in the state of Maine. We're really, really proud of what we're doing in Brunswick and in Lewiston, boat and totes, dog beds, and our boots, up to 750,000 pairs of Bean boots in 2017, on our way to being able to produce 1 million pairs in the state of Maine. So we're really proud of that and continue to invest. So here's what I'm going to talk about. So why do we mess around with our brand? Who worked on it? And then ultimately, what did it result in? And I'll just take you through that. So obviously, we started with why do we need this? And the retail market around us is in serious distress. Customers are changing their behaviors very quickly. Retailers are changing their propositions very quickly. And for us, we wanted to get back to growth. So L.L.Bean expanded tremendously in the 80s and the 90s and 2000. But for the past few years, we have been flat, and the market has been changing quite dramatically around us. And we recognized that we needed to become more relevant. And there's a overly simplified adage that we use, which is, and this is, again, overly simplified, but everybody knows L.L.Bean. We have incredible brand awareness across the country. Almost everybody likes or loves the brand. It is a very loved, a very well-known brand. But when you ask people, are we relevant to your daily lives? Are we in your consideration set for your shopping needs? We fall off in relevance, and we recognize that we need to become more relevant. We also need more customers, and they used to talk about we need more younger customers. We actually need simply more customers, and I'll go through, obviously, our positioning and our target audience. But it's an audience that ranges from 18 to 80. But what we do need to do is to bring in new customers into our franchise. And so that's been the driving force behind looking at evolving our brand. Really important just to share the team that worked on it. And again, as I talked earlier, I'm interested in sharing this process with other business leaders in the greater Portland area because I do think our process was quite unique, and I think it's something that can be emulated. This was not a marketing alone project. So we had a cross-functional team who took a year separate from their day job. They still had their day job, but for an entire year, a cross-functional leadership team. We had 4 executive sponsors, so we had Sean and myself, and then we had Chris McDonough, who's our brand new Chief Brand Officer, Tom Armstrong, who is our Chief Merchant, and then we had 2 senior leaders in Dave Finley and Bill Pond, who were running a cross-functional group of 12 to 16 individuals, and they managed the entire process, all the quantitative, all the qualitative research. We also worked with 3 external partners. I'll talk about Via in a minute, but Via has been a fantastic brand partner of ours, also Artemis, and then also Costco Marketing, and they were really helpful to us in all of our research. But a fantastic group of individuals that for us was a mix of different backgrounds, different heritage of the brand, different views of the brand, and different uses of the brand. If you're going to come up with a brand engineering plan, every department needs to use it in a different way. And so we wanted to make sure that when we came out with a solution, it was usable to the merchants and to IT and to consumer technologies, as well as to the marketing team. So fantastic team, tremendous amount of work that they did for a year, and I'm really proud of their output. Fun little slide, and I see Leanne sitting over here. Via was our external partner through the brand engineering. Then we ran a national creative pitch. So we did all the work around our brand and our positioning, which I'll take you through in a couple slides. And then we landed in, okay, now we have to tell customers about it. And we did a full national creative pitch with a number of agencies, some of the best ranked agencies around the country, including Via. And Via won it flat out. So they won it on their merits. It was really exciting for us to have a local partner just stand far and above other New York and national agencies. And this was the day we awarded it, and Leanne brought the entire VA agency up to the Freeport store. They shopped. We beat our budget for the month. It was a phenomenal day. We're not going to continue to, it would be helpful if we changed our agency every once in a while to hit our budget, but we're not going to do that. So, but this is just great. This was the cross-functional team and a nice celebration, and a really nice celebration for Portland. To have an iconic brand like L.L.Bean working with a nationally ranked agency here in Portland, together it allows us actually to talk with an advertising age, marketing week, some of these national publications about what's happening in our little state up in the northeast corner of the country. And so really powerful for the state and the region. So here's what we did. So we went through a long quantitative and qualitative process to really understand what was happening in the marketplace. And we did this agnostic of the L.L.Bean brand. So we really did it to go out and look at what's happening in the marketplace and with customers. And so we did a cultural trend analysis to understand what's happening in the marketplace, people buying less stuff, less fashion, more experiences. We did a competitive audit. For L.L.Bean, both a blessing and a curse, but we have, you could name everybody's a competitor. We looked at 30 different competitors because we have 150,000 SKUs, and we compete with everything from Lilly Pulitzer to Bass Pro and Cabela's. And so we wanted to look at a group of 30 competitors and what are they doing and what do they stand for. We did a huge amount of customer research, including sort of the foundational piece was a 6,000 person quantitative study across the entire country of outdoor enthusiasts, looking at what do they buy, where do they shop, what are their attitudes. We were looking for a psychographic, not a demographic, so trying to understand how people think, how they feel when they're engaging with the outdoors. And then we did a tremendous amount of internal assessment. And if I go back to my opening on the family governance side, we talked to the family to understand what their hopes and dreams and wishes were for the brand for the future. We also talked to a tremendous amount of employees who have real passion, and they've joined L.L.Bean for really important reasons, and we needed to hear them articulate why they were attracted to Bean. And we have an incredible workforce that we need to mine and engage, and so that internal assessment was really helpful for us, again, to tap into the collective knowledge and wisdom of our organization. Just a lot of numbers of stuff that we did. So 6,400 customers were surveyed and a lot of hours. And again, that's why I showed the picture of the team. I'm extremely appreciative. These are folks who had day jobs running huge parts of our business, and they were working on this as an extracurricular project, and lots of work and lots of effort. And from that, 5 insights came out that started to frame our positioning work. And so first was brands with a singular clarity are winning. So just a very simple adage, but when you're very clear about who you are and what you stand for and your competitive point of difference, you're winning. Patagonia is a great example of that. The most relevant brands go beyond rational attributes to emotional connections. That's probably the thing that's most, our biggest liability. It is the thing that we need to correct. People know us and love us for our guarantee, for shipping, for customer service, but we want people to fall in love with our products. We want them to wear something, do something, use something, and say, I love this product. It got my family outside. It created this environment, this event for me. So that emotional connection, really important. Number 3, it was clear that we are stuck in the middle. We've got lots of small niche brands. If you look at Patagonia, Arc'teryx, North Face, and then you've got the big guys like Cabela's and Bass Pro and some of the larger retailers. And we don't want to be in the middle. We don't want to be stuck with Eddie Bauer and Land's End and those folks. We have a real clear point of difference and a real deep authenticity. We consider our guarantee to be a differentiator internally, but when we tested this quantitatively with customers, it's table stakes. They expect every company to stand behind their products and to do right by customers. And so it is important to us, of course, but we were thinking it is the number one thing. It actually is one of the things that customers expect. If I'm going to consider your brand, I expect that you stand behind it. And then number 5 is significant barriers to our brand exist for new customers. If we're not relevant, people aren't thinking, wow, I need them for this. We're not thought of as a potential need. And so breaking down that barrier was really important for us. Also what came through were perceptions of our brand, really positive stuff, and also quite a disparate group of things. So cozy and warm, which is lovely, like a soft flannel shirt, like I'm wearing today. Thank you, Quincy, actually, Quincy gave me permission to be casual today, so I appreciate that. But cozy and warm, the everyday outdoorsman, sort of the friendly lumberjack feeling. The being outside with family, so just the soft side, the sharing, the comfort of being outside. There is an old school New England side to us, which is a little bit stodgy and probably is a barrier to entry for new customers. And then we are considered a cold weather brand, which is great in the cold weather seasons and in the cold weather states. But if you want to be a business that is utilizing all of its assets through the spring and the summer, we are built for peak. So we are built for November and December. We are built for doing 3 times the volume for 2 months of the year. We've got to expand our spring and summer business and into warmer states. So cold weather is great, and obviously we're here in Maine and we love it, and you should buy all your stuff from us for the cold weather. We need to be known also as being a great outdoor brand. So all of that got us to informing the shift in the strategy. And as I mentioned earlier, we have a great foundation from which to build. And this entire brand project is additive. So it's not a replacement project. There's nothing broken or wrong. It's very much about what do we have and what do we need to build on for the future to attract new customers. So we've got an amazing trust in the transaction. That's what came back from customers. And that is the returns policy, that is shipping, that is our customer service approach. But what we've got to move towards is that desire for our brand and products. We've spent decades marketing a catalog, marketing a group, an assortment of products, but we need to get people to really fall in love and see our products as really relevant, and then ultimately totally differentiated from our competitors. So that's what informed our shift in our strategy. So with all that as background, I'm now going to take you through the output of that, and that is our target customer, our brand positioning, and then how we're using that brand positioning to start to inform business decisions. Ultimately, a brand positioning is not just informing marketing. It becomes something that we can use to inform our assortment, our charitable strategy, our technology investments. So it needs to be as big that it's informing those types of decisions. And I'll unpack this slide. So target customer. Through the quantitative research and through multiple regression analyses of what was happening in the marketplace, what came out were 6 need states that generally people who buy outdoor gear and clothing fall into. These are our words based on quantitative regression analysis. And so in the market at any point in time, there are 6 different need states. What we are focusing on for the future is the outdoor family enthusiast, and I'll talk about them in a minute. We also are looking at 2 shoulder customer segments, which is the adventurous advocates, as well as the practical pragmatists. And so those are sort of a well-rounded group of customers. We find a lot of our existing customers in these buckets, but it's being very clear about the outdoor family enthusiast as our future target. And if I unpack that a little bit, the outdoor family enthusiast, family is defined very inclusively, so it is multi-generational. It includes friends, it includes pets. It's very much about who you share your outdoor experiences with. And these folks, when all said and done, there are 3 driving behaviors behind them. Number 1 is form follows function. So of course, they appreciate and need style, they want to look good, but the things that they buy for their outdoor pursuits must perform. They must have technical attributes and things that are going to help enable me, keep me dry, keep me warm, keep me active longer. So things must perform, which leads us to we need to have purposeful products. Second is together time is the best time. And that is really recognizing that these folks, when they're outside, it's not solo conquest. It's not man or woman versus nature. It's very much about being together, sharing nature together, going up a mountain and coming back down and being around the campfire and talking about it and sharing it with others. It's as simple as walking a dog together with your family and having some outside time and some fresh air. And with that, these folks are energized by the outdoors. They recognize the restorative nature of the outdoors. It could be a simple walk at lunchtime, or it could be a family camping trip. Getting outside is restorative, and it also creates a sense of belonging, a sense of place, a sense of grounding. So these folks are obviously, they're quite complex as a group, but these are the 3 driving factors that we saw that were driving their decision-making. So from that leads to our brand positioning, and this is a reveal just for the Portland business community. Of course, there's media here, so it's going to be a broader reveal. But this ends up with our positioning statement. And I am a marketing geek, so positioning statements are really, really important. They drive your future direction. And this is internal language. So this is something that we're using internally to drive business decisions. It's not something that we talk about to our customers. It drives our customer communication. But from all of that, we come out with a positioning statement, which are these simple 8 words, which is made for the shared joy of the outdoors. And this sentence is incredibly powerful for us. If you think about the 3 drivers behind the outdoor family enthusiast, made for is around purposeful products. The outside and the outside essence needs to be inside everything that we make. And we need to make sure that we are designing products not for fashion's sake, but actually for performance sake, with fashion, with style, with design, but they need to perform. Shared joy is just fascinating. Joy doesn't exist in our categories. So it is man or woman versus nature. It's a frozen beard and blood and sweat hanging off of a mountaintop. It's small person, huge nature. But the actual joy and showing joy and smiling faces and close-up of what it feels like when you're outdoor doesn't really exist in our marketplace. And then obviously the outdoors and that sense of belonging, and the outside is a place where we all belong. And so these 8 words are our internal positioning, and that then drives all of our business decisions as we move forward. It's beautifully linked to our past, and I've got 2 quotes in here that have just been pulled out of Leon's book. But this was the work group, when they were doing all of their reflections around the brand, pulled a number of quotes from Leon's Making of an American Icon book. And this was one which LL had a personal relationship with the great outdoors. It was there that people were at their best, he believed. And so again, it just ties beautifully into getting outside and getting the best out of people and sharing that with your friends and family. So once we have that positioning statement, then how do we stand out within a crowded field? These are our words, but looking at the category conventions. So we said we looked at 30 different competitors, and we looked at how are they talking about themselves? How are they marketing and advertising themselves? And we put them in these 3 buckets. Yes, we were a little bit opinionated with what we put, but it's our stuff. So we weren't intending to share this with anybody. This is how we were looking at the world. But you had one group, which is contrived posers, and you can picture that. It's overly stylized, beautiful models, super tailored clothes in the middle of the woods. So it is, sort of a little bit outrageous, but then overly stylized and overly clean. And there's a lot of folks in our world that are doing that. How we stand apart from that is showing our authenticity, 105-year-old brand. We are rooted in hunting and fishing, so that authenticity as well as the spontaneity that we have. We are not overly staged. You have the solo conquerors, and I mentioned this a couple times already with folk. It is small person, large nature, attacking something that you personally could never do, but you might aspire to. And there's that solo conqueror, and a lot of people advertise and market themselves that way. For us, we think we can go a different direction, which is being around friendly, fun-loving, accessible, and making nature more accessible. And then third is the tech geeks. There's a lot of people in our industry who talk very much about the specific technical specifications of products, of Gore-Tex, of Polar Fleece, of all the different individual components, seam-sealed zippers. Those are all really important, but we want to talk about them as what will they do for you? How will they make you warmer, drier, happier? And so we think that we can be much more approachable. We still have all that same great technology in all of our products, but we want to make it approachable and usable. So bring that all to life. You've got our sort of 5 attributes that come through. This is a mood board that the VIA team and our internal team put together as we wanted to talk about where we're going. You think about, I've sort of been banging away on the solo conquerors, and you look at all these beautiful smiling faces and multi-generational and multicultural and lots of different activities. And the interesting thing about this slide, typically when you do a mood board, it's a rip. So you go and you look at stock images and you take a bunch of stock images and you slam it together and you say, this is the direction we're going. When the team started working on this, they couldn't find those stock images. They found most of these pictures from Instagram, which was a great example of people wanting to share their joy and what they were doing in the outdoors. But what people are actually photographing for professional photography was sort of the contrived posers and those folks. So this was really fun, pulled mostly from Instagram. And if you put it all together into one slide, you've got our positioning statement, you've got our mood board, and then ultimately looking at showing that we want to be authentic and spontaneous, friendly, fun-loving, and approachable. And hopefully you'll see that in some of the advertising that we'll show in just a minute. Just a quick little how we're starting to use this for business decisions. And first is category strategy, which is for us assortment. I'm not going to go too deep on this stuff. This actually ultimately is incredibly proprietary. This is about the products that we want to bring out into the marketplace. Our product development cycle is a little less than a year. So all the things that we're doing and learning today and this spring does not come to fruition and into your hands, which I hope you'll buy, in the spring of 2018. And there's a lot of work going around our assortment. But just to give you an idea of how we're looking at it. So what our merchants have done is they've looked at the outdoor family enthusiasts. They've looked at where do they play, where is their outdoor activities occurring. They then map through what activities are they working on, what are they participating in, what are things that we want to outfit so that they can have successful journeys in those different activities. And then they're looking at the why, the values that they place in those particular products or those particular activities or those particular places. So you can start to marry the performance attribute and the physical need of the product with why would somebody buy this over somebody else's to enable that particular activity. So they're doing a ton of work going through all of that. That has led to 6 places and a list of activities. These activities will ebb and flow and change. So as trends change, as consumer habits change, as new things fade or come in, but we're looking at sort of on land, we're looking at trails, which is active side of land, and campsites, which is a little bit more casual and the passive side of what do you do on land. On the water, so we're looking at obviously paddle sports, fishing, but then also on the shoreline. So eating, playing, transporting, what do you do on the shoreline to enable having a great day by a lake or by the sea or by a river? And then around your home and looking at neighborhoods and parks. And I think it's really important for our brand to be an incredibly inclusive definition of the outdoors. It's just as powerful for someone in a city to go out at lunchtime and go walk in Bryant Park in New York City and get a little bit of fresh air and eat your lunch on the sidewalk. It's just as rewarding to walk your dog early in the morning with the dew on the street in the middle of Yarmouth or Freeport or Cape Elizabeth or South Portland. Just getting outside in your neighborhood, in your park, and us enabling that and making that easy for you is a huge opportunity within our industry. And then also in and around home. So definitely the outdoor family enthusiast has a need, whether it's prepping, storing, entertaining. There's lots of things where we can play in helping the outdoor family enthusiast set up their home to be able to be an active household. So quick little shot on the six places and then some of the activities within it. Then what the merchants are doing is they are sorting and sizing all of our categories and looking at and evaluating them on a number of different axes on things that are basically brand accretive or detrimental to the brand, and looking at what are those products that we want to be investing in. Overlaying the Bean DNA, as I've said a couple times here, our future is definitely rooted in our past. Because we are authentic, we have so many products that were created 40, 50, 60, 80 years ago for a real reason. And going back and looking at those reasons are just as relevant today as they were then, and we need to tell those stories better. So looking at putting our Bean DNA over those products. Then looking at future growth, where do we want to invest in, what do we want to grow, where do we want to innovate, where do we want new sizes, new colors, new styles, and then ultimately developing plans to have an assortment that's going to match back to the future positioning. And all these things, these are 3 to 5 year migration plans. These are not things that we just say, this is it and we're going. We say, this is the framework, this is the direction that we want to go. Now we need to work our way and move our way towards. As we look at our outdoor family enthusiast, we don't want to lose our existing customers. We want to gain new customers and not alienate the existing. So now I'll go into the fun visual stuff. And again, this is all also a sneak peek around our creative expressions. So you will see it here first. The campaign idea that has come through, again, working with VIA, is all around inside all of us, there's an outsider. It's a fantastic call to action to get outside. It's oddly inclusive. So it starts off as, well, I'm an outsider looking in, but actually if everybody is an outsider and just getting outside, you're stepping into the world's most inclusive club, whether it's walking your dog or walking in a park or climbing a mountain. So it's got this beautiful juxtaposition with it. And it's something that we can uniquely deliver. And yes, if you're really astute, the B and, if you put it together, it's bean, you pull it apart, it's B and, so you'll see that in a little bit. Lots of people think that they just discovered that, but no, we did know that we were doing that. And again, it goes back to, it's a beautiful articulation of where we've come from. So again, a great quote, which is, sure, we sell bean boots and backpacks and fleece jackets, but they enable people to enjoy the outdoors, and that adds value to their lives. What do they get from the outdoors? All kinds of physical and spiritual rewards. It plays right in with, we know it's a new articulation, but it's directly in line with our past, with a contemporary, inclusive spin to it. We tested it. As you would imagine, we are a massively quantitative company, so we did lots and lots of research around testing our future campaign. I won't bore you with all the details on the slide, but basically our future customers, the outdoor family enthusiast, and our existing customers, all of them gave us permission that this is a really interesting, engaging, relevant positioning for the brand to talk about. Our existing customers, when we research with them about things that we want to do with the brand, they give us a huge amount of permission to do all kinds of stuff. They want us to be really clear about who we are, because our existing customers love us, and they're craving that we tell them who we are and why they love us, and give them the words to be able to be advocates for us. So both existing and future customers were really supportive of this position. And now I'm gonna do something a little weird. I'm gonna ask you to close your eyes. You look at this little picture, or you can close your eyes. And I'm just gonna read you our manifesto. And this manifesto goes live today on the site. And it's a little bit customer facing, but it actually started as an internal document to give us the words behind Be an Outsider. And so I just wanna read this to you, and you can just sort of let it wash over you. If you wanna close your eyes and just be in the moment, that's great, or you can stare at all these smiling faces. But don't look at me. Welcome to the outside, where there are no strangers, only friends we haven't met yet, where days have names like beach, snow, and bluebird, and where the smell of a campfire means you're in the right place. You don't need a passport to come here, an invitation to play here, or a membership to belong here. Just step outside your front door, and you've arrived. You can forget your age, your worries, even your bathing suit. Just don't forget to bring your friends. It doesn't matter where you come from, only that you come often. So wherever you are, join us, because on the inside, we're all outsiders. And if it's outside, we're all in. L.L.Bean, be an outsider. So beautiful. Yeah. Just beautiful copywriting, really captures the essence of who we are and who we want to be. When we announced this internally in April and May of this past year, it was incredible within our own employee base of people just saying, that's us. That's why I work here. That's why I love this brand. We finally have found a way to articulate it. We have phenomenal copywriters. I see our lead copywriter right over here, and our VIA team who worked on this, and just a beautiful piece of prose on who we want to be as we go forward. So that's our manifesto, and that sort of drives future communication. Awesome. So lots of fun content coming. And then I was going to fly through these, and we just go to questions. So all of our print is changing as well. So catalog covers embracing, obviously, outdoor family enthusiasts and the joy of the outdoors. We'll be in national print. We haven't been in a long, long time. So National Geographic, Outside, Cooking Lights. Really fun, great image, great little copy. Nice. There's actually fantastic copy and great little sense of humor. And then obviously we're trying to sell product, so we've got product there. Retail will start to change over the next sort of 6 to 12 months and bring some of the imagery into our stores. We have a mobile selling unit, which actually launches this week, which I'm really excited about, going around to college campuses. We'll be able to sell boots and graphic tees and trucker hats, all tricked out, and we just saw this in Freeport last week. The website relaunch is today, so the manifesto will appear up online, and then we continue to bring that messaging through all of our digital. And then just final summary, so just packing through that earlier slide of, if you start over on the left of all of our discovery and our quantitative and our research, that led us to a clear identification of the outdoor family enthusiast as our primary target we want to go for. Understanding them really deeply, what makes them tick, what do they do, where do they go, what do they buy, what do they care about, led us to our overall internal positioning, which is made for the shared joy of the outdoors, which then leads to, obviously, the creative expression, which you can see and feel, but also will now drive all of our business decisions inside the company, obviously from an assortment, but from all aspects of the business. And it becomes a new foundation and a new framework from which we can make decisions. And with that, I'll take your questions. Thank you. If someone tweets me, I don't have my phone.
Good morning. Mark Bassier, Director of the Portland Museum of Art. Welcome. Hi, Steve. Want to thank L.L.Bean. You all do a great job supporting Free Fridays at the museum, which actually provides the museum in Portland with the most diverse audiences the museum has for attendance. It was really great to see some of the imagery you're putting out there. Can you talk a little bit about the notion of diversity, inclusivity, and even intersectionality, and thinking about who you're marketing to and the projection of the identity of Maine? At the museum, we often think about our state as being the least diverse state in the United States, and how do we deal with that in the marketplace, attendance, and even our own employees?
Yeah. So, I mean, we want to be a national brand, and so I'll give you a couple different answers to that. When we landed on the outdoor family enthusiast, and when we went through all of the work around identifying a target audience, we didn't ground ourselves in a demographic, which then puts you into age, income, race, education, all those components. We actually went for a psychographic, which is that outdoor family enthusiast, which is people who are enjoying the outdoors together. And when we looked at that group, it was an 18 to 80 group. So it gave us, just by definition and by looking at a psychographic, a much larger pool of diversity that we are looking to go after. And that's both age, that's also urban, rural, suburban, and then it also can be sort of multi-ethnic. So by looking at a psychographic, it allows us to be much more diverse in how we're thinking about the brand. And you see in our imagery, we want to be inclusive, and we want to be able to show, again, generations, multi-ethnic, lots of different colors and styles of folks. So we will build that into our advertising and our marketing as we go. I think it's really important for us to be relevant to a younger, more idealistic audience. We need to make sure that we're showing that. And all that that's not in contrast with our Maine roots. Maine is, there are so many great things about Maine that we can bring across the country, and that's access to water, access to the mountains, rugged, humble. There's lots of great components that we can bring out, but we can show it in quite a diverse way, and that's an intentional goal.
Good morning, Steve. Hi, Susan Morris. I wondered if you could speak a little bit about bringing your brand alive through the experience. And I didn't see reference to training courses, partnering with resorts, tour companies, helping people on their learning curve. And I just wondered if you could speak to how you see L.L.Bean being supportive of helping people use the gear, and in what ways you see that happening.
Absolutely,
Thank
fantastic. Great question. The existing positioning of Bean has always been to inspire and enable people to get outdoors, and that still remains in our core, is that inspire and enable. And one of the best assets that we have, which is underutilized, and something that we want, if you get into our growth strategies, one of our growth strategy opportunities is our outdoor discovery schools. And we have an incredible asset where, we take hundreds of thousands of people through fly fishing, kayaking, stand-up paddleboarding, hiking, orienteering, wilderness survival skills. And that asset sits here in Freeport. We have the Lower Flying Point Center, which is in Freeport. But then every one of our stores also has an outdoor discovery school as part of our stores. And as we crank out our stores out into Minnesota, Wisconsin, Denver, down into Virginia, we are bringing that experiential side with our brand. And we recognize that it also is an area that, once we get our foundation reset, that's an area that we want to invest more in. So we have that asset, we use it, we enable, again, hundreds of thousands of people, and we can do even more with it. We also, as the Be an Outsider and the Made for the Shared Joy of the Outdoors positioning also will start to influence our charitable and our partnership giving as well. So we will put our volunteer hours, our money, and our efforts behind inspiring and enable people to get into the outdoors, and really looking at how do you make the outdoors accessible, both in place as well as people, bringing people to the outdoors. So great opportunity for us.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Adam Goldberg. I'm with the new Portland hockey team that's dropping the puck next year. So hopefully we see your gear at some games, keeping people warm at the rink.
Congratulations. Welcome.
Thank you. Wanted to talk to you about, you talked about the 100% consumer satisfaction, and you found out that wasn't as important to the consumer as it was to internal. And I found that interesting that maybe the people here were sort of stuck in the weeds in our own world, and we don't think about what the consumers are actually thinking. So could you just talk about the scope of the consumer research that you did? Was it through interviews? Was it through surveys? How many people it was?
Yeah, and I'll give you a quick answer, but afterwards I can really geek out on this because I loved what we did. So we did a quantitative survey. Sort of the foundational survey was a quantitative survey, 6,400 folks. It was done in partnership with KMI, which is a research company. And we internally developed 120 different attributes that a customer uses to make a decision on where they want to shop, which is obviously what we were looking at. And those attributes are everything from clean bathrooms to they have well-performing products and everything in between. And so we did a huge quantitative study where customers were able to, it's all online, so to answer your first question, it was an online study, and then we had a special supplement that was phone-oriented, so we made sure that we captured folks who weren't online. And that quantitative study, then people were able to go through quite a controlled environment and match attributes with their shopping type, their style, what they bought, the brands that they went to. And when you sift all that through, you can run multiple regression analyses to understand what are customers doing, where are they buying, where are their values, what's most important to certain segments of customers. So big set piece of quantitative research, 6,500 total national sample, and agnostic to all competitors. And I think we put 16 competitors in there that customers are able to rank. And not every customer ranks all 16 and all 140 attributes. You do that through the magic of research. And Walt Shepard is probably here somewhere.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have time for one more question.
Good morning, Steve. Ron Cantor from Southern Maine Community College. Just to emphasize how important L.L.Bean is to us, I want to thank you for the tremendous support you give our students in our college. We have our Brunswick campus and our South Portland campus. When I talk to friends from across the country and they say, wow, what's it like being a college president in Maine? I say, it's wonderful. We have two campuses and L.L.Bean is between them. I basically want to just congratulate you because the wording of your manifesto, very carefully chosen and very appropriate. Mark Basir mentioned before the diversity and the inclusiveness. It's clearly there, but there's a lot more there as well. And I just want to thank you and congratulate you for reflecting the political climate of the country at this moment in a productive way. And I see companies try it, but few have done it as artfully as you have in your manifesto and in other ways. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Cool. Thank you very much. And I just want to say one thing. We want you, like this community, to be proud of us and to be rooting for us because we want to be a national brand and we want to be successful. And I just thank you for that thanks on that manifesto. It means a lot to us as we're trying to articulate who we are for the rest of the world. So thank you.
Thank you, Steve, for being here and kicking off our season of Eggs and Issues. As a thank you for your presentation, we'll be making a $100 donation to the Wayfinder schools in your name. So thank you again for your words. So. As always, you can stay up to date by connecting via Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter, and you can stay tuned to the Chamber's website for a video of this morning's Eggs and Issues. Our next Eggs and Issues is going to be Tuesday, October 10th, and we're going to host a discussion focused on what the voters will be facing when they step into the ballot box this November. We have two rather devastating citywide referendums that will go on the ballot this year, as well as some statewide initiatives. Come and learn more about what they mean for you and for Portland. And please register early. We'll be closing registrations for that on October 6th. With that, I hope you have a fantastic day and remainder of your week. Thanks for coming.